Hey gang, welcome back for the 8th and final time, guys. We have reached nearly the end of our road today, and I think we're all really excited about that. We've seen a lot of console action. We got a lot to talk about, so make sure you stick around. After this set, we're going to be doing our little gather round segment where we talk about the day's action. There was a lot. We're going to hit the high points for you, and then we'll send you on your way towards Tuesday. It's been a long Monday, Gore. I've seen a lot of console action today. What's been your highlight?
I mean, highlight, my funniest moment either has to be Inara jumping over Makoa, or actually a couple sets ago when Makoa, unfortunately, shell spins himself right off the edge of the map. We got a top play and a fail all in one week.
I was watching that as we see Bright Marsh map number 1, Serpent and Frozen Guard are banned out here. That breakdancing emote from Makoa.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that.
It's so good.
I didn't even know that was in the game.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm like, what? What is he
I don't know if I've told you.
At first glance, I thought it was Davy Jones' locker. I was like, the shell, like that's what that looks like in third person, and I was like, wait, that's not what that looks like. I'm like, what is? He's just breakdancing.
There was a game.
Why Makoa of all characters, like this massive turtle, just like hitting these moves?
I had a game on Frog Isle where like we go up 3-0. It's like 4 minutes in or 5 minutes in. Like it's going to be a very obvious sweep.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who's, I'm doing payload duty, as I end up having to do. And so I just start emoting on the payload while it's moving. And I'm doing this breakdance as Makoa. And at one point, I think I had a Victor on my team. He dies, and he just opens the chat, and he just goes, Makoa, I want you to know I 100% blame that death on the fact that you've been breakdancing for the past 45 seconds. Like, I was just riding it. I was not playing the game.
What can you do? What can you do? Sometimes you just got to dance. You get a song in your heart. Willow, Makoa, Tyra so far for Elevate, Furia, Jero, Ghost, and Fernando on the side of their opponents. They'll pick the Ashe up as well. We talked a little bit about Ashe. She started to kind of work her way back in. It wasn't incredibly impactful there because there was that Makoa, I feel like, to counterplay most of the shoulder bashes that came through. Yeah. But definitely has a place. She's never been a super big console champion. To me, Inara's place, or Ashe's place, is below Inara, right? Where, like, Inara, anything Ashe can do, especially on
Inara's not going to be able to do it the same way, but Inara's going to be able to do the tank part at least a lot better. And so it's really, I want to say, confusing to me when we see her get prioritized over some of the other frontliners. There's some that I think she does have this place where it's like, okay, you can swap them in and out if you really need to. If you're looking for aggression, maybe she has that playstyle, but I mean, when it comes down to it, at the end of the game, fighting as much as you want doesn't change anything as long as the other team is still getting the point. And for Inara to, for that point, and for Inara to go 9th on Bright Marsh, it's just a little off. I don't know. It's pretty interesting to see that happen the way it shakes out. Maybe it's just the flavor of these two teams. Flavor Saver. Ball and Barry. The man, the myth, the legend himself. And the freaking gang here. Actually, I'm really excited to see this because you can see SJP, GR, Cutie Shoe, Whoosh, a lot of players who have been around for a long time. Kyle Conrad, I have to mention as well because he had such a great performance 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he looked great. But, I mean, up on the other side, I mean, Ned Slark I haven't heard of, but Galaxy, Vengeance, Peacekeeper, as well as Ball and Barry are all players that have been around for a while, having phenomenal performances in their own right. And so I'm curious to see how they can do as a team, especially against a team like Elevate. A lot of poke coming out at the start here for Mr. Shu. Everyone clumped up and susceptible to fire from Willow. Yoinked out of the sky. Galaxy in some trouble. Kyle Conrad starting things off right for Elevate. The back of a huge dredge anchor, and then a nice couple of follow-up shots there as well. And that's an unfortunate spot to really get locked down, and you can see that firebomb from Tyra, and that honestly is all you really need in that area to be able to keep control. A lot of the things that we've given credit to, like Bomb King in the past, being able to have control, Tyra can do the same thing with that firebomb. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because you don't know exactly how it's going to spread, but usually you're going to be able to cover the ground no problem. And that aggression is turning into a lot of pressure from Element. 2 minutes on the clock now. Game over on the back foot already. And GR, if he's allowed to just kind of sit up here and tee off, it's going to be a really good look for the Willow. This is one of the few yet effective high ground places you can actually maintain control of on Bright Marsh. Conrad gets stunned out there, but Gormizer, this kill feed is all blue all the time. Elevate
Not showing any signs of slowing down anytime soon.
And this is probably the only downside I will say. Game over. It doesn't matter how many players you have that have been stellar in the past, even if they're still stellar. Elevate is a team that has not only been to LAN several times, they've won a couple of them have won LAN in the past. Mainly SJP there being able to rock out with his Crocs out. Very comfortable, very happy, and you can just see the team's energy coming down from this. It's a little rough.
They walk it home, Gore.
Yeah.
They walk it home with 4 people, 4 opponents alive. That sends a message, in my opinion. Game over. Where's the life? Where's the fight in you, lad? Are you willing to roll over that easy? I don't know.
Will they be able to
get a kill?
Step back. Yeah, no, I guess get a kill is the first step.
Let's set the bar, I think, at an appropriate level here.
Get a kill.
That's step 1.
Then
frag,
I'd say
dudes.
step 2 is probably use comeback mechanic and get a point.
All right.
But, well, maybe
Gormiser's 2-step plan to beating Elevate. There it is.
At least get a point first, then you're on your way.
How much you charging for these high-level tactics thase days?
It's $25 an hour.
25 an hour?
That seems like a
I'll give you 600.
amount.
I'll give you 600 credits.
600 credits. Like in game, you can buy 2 items.
Yep, that's all you get.
I'd still take
And
it.
if it works out, I'll give you half now, half later. So far, Kyle Conrad remains the star focus, I think, of this Elevate roster. He's opened up both rounds, frankly, in good Mako fashion, and that's sort of what you like to see from him, especially with a frontliner as high priority as the young turtle has always been. I don't know, at this phase, you know, it's coming up on, what, 3 years now. Makoa has just been dominant the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Will there ever be another champion as dominant as the young Yertle himself?
And I think this has been a conversation of the ages, but honestly, it comes down to the hook. Like, I feel like there's no way to fully bring him out of the meta unless you can just make it so that hook, like, I mean, even making it harder to hit didn't really pull him out. It's just this awkward area of how do you make that less good. I mean, you displace people, you control where they get to go, you bring them to your team or away. It's just so versatile. It's such an ability. But even if he does no damage, it's still worthwhile.
Double marks going up here. This Fernando a little bit isolated at the moment. Tyra might have a couple of things to say to the self-appointed knight. That shield goes up. SJP, no wrecker. Doesn't have any interest in running into it all by himself. He's going to throw out another mark on to Ashe. Maybe go to town, but she's standing right under a solar blessing. Not a whole lot can be done there. Crossfire is ready, but as they lost Whoosh already, I don't know if SJP is really seeing anything he likes over here. He's going to back off for the time being.
A couple of stalls finally being able to come out here for game over. But you always have to wonder whether or not the stalls are getting there in time, you know? And you are finally able to hold them, but it's on a defense. Unless we are looking at, I mean, not to take shots at them, but SK Gaming, it's not often that you see a team go from 3-1 to 4-3 in the other favor.
Yeah, definitely not. Here comes the Whirlwind Crossfire, though, the combination from Elevate here to try and put this one to bed. Triple kill, make it a quad. No, Elevate, GR steals it away. Could have been a pentakill for SJP, but he'll have to settle for the 4K because GR Crazy's a scumbag.
Had to come through and get it. And at this point, you know, normally I say maybe you do that because your team's trying to confirm the kill. That one is 100% a steal. There is no other reason to be firing at this point except for that. And of course, these guys have known each other long enough that I'm sure they play around with each other just that much. Now Ancient Rage right in the face. The payload's almost in. Ball and Barry unfortunately goes down.
Barry, I don't see a lot of balling going on today. Elevate just dunks on him. 2 rounds in a row, 4-0 on Brightmarsh, and we'll have to see where the rest of the set is going to play out. It doesn't look like it's going to last too much longer unless, you know, we see some massive differences in the draft. Maybe get this Makoa out of here, because that was, honestly, it's the first thing you want to point to and say, that was giving us trouble.
And that's always the hard issue right now, right? It's like, okay, well, we need to get rid of Makoa. Who do we let through? Well, we don't want to play against Koga, so we need to ban Koga and Makoa. Well, we also don't want to deal with Khan, so maybe we can try to get them to ban Khan so that we don't get it, or something like.
Yeah.
You have to play this really weird game, and that's actually part of the reason that we see coaches like be so prevalent in like the PPL and when it starts to matter, because drafting is a completely different game that you have to approach.
It matters, y'all. Splitstone Quarry. That's where we're going to head to in this best of 3. lot of cool picks on this map. I don't think we've seen this map today. Have you casted this? All right.
Well, casted Ascension Peak. That's the furthest I've gotten.
Out of the norm here. Console map variances, it's kind of low. I feel like I don't really, you don't see too much of the fish market. You don't see too much of the ice mines, the frozen guard, even definitely not Timber Mill.
I will say I think a lot of it has to do with the best of 3 area. I think because when you're in a best of 3, Jag Falls, Serpent Beach, Frog Isle, Stone Keep are probably going to be like the 4 maps that you keep like at your priority.
Sure. Yeah, that's
then
part of it.
I guess add Bright Marsh into there.
You're
but
right.
then it's like, okay, when you start hitting like best of 5 territory, you get game 3, game 4. It's like, man, well, we've gone through 2 stomps or we've gone through 1 stomp and 1 hard-fought win. We really need to go somewhere we think we can change it around. A lot of these teams, I think this is in that area of where can we take a set that even though we don't think we could win, we can at least try to get our best map.
Wow, so we're going to see the Willow Zin ban here. That means Torvald Makoa is open. They grab the Torvald first, send it back over to Elevate. Tyro will be 1/2 of the puzzle. Kyle Conrad will get his Makoa back in action. All good there. Still plenty of blasters on the board. Both Drogos and Bomb King are open and available.
I'm curious to see if Elevate are going to go for the Drogos. I think they're one of the ones that I've seen run it more successfully, although after today, I will say that I think a lot of teams are able to pilot the Drogos just fine. Genos, more than likely for Ball and Berry, and this is the champion that he pretty much showed up and made his debut on. The reason we remember his name so well is because his ults were so on point. It made such a big difference. But, I mean, this is months ago in the PCS now, so it's going to be a different story going up against a team like Elevate.
This was definitely something I had my eye on, right? I mean, it's popular on PC. The sniping game, it's there. It is there. You know, I mean, after watching some of the snipers on Frog Isle earlier, specifically, what's his name? World Edit, not World Edit, Welsh Mania. After watching Welsh Mania earlier today, my goodness gracious! I mean, these guys are damn good with the snipers on console. And I think it was just getting over that initial hump. Kind of like with Drogos, right?
Yeah.
There was definitely, you could see that initial hump that once the console players got over that and just got used to the character, they were really good with it.
And I think the big thing out of all of that for me, the big takeaway has been once you see one player do it successfully, Peacekeeper is actually someone who in the past I remember playing as Strix that was phenomenal.
2.
Once you see someone start to find success with the snipers or with the Drogos, that's something everyone tries to open the door to because they're like, if that guy can do it, I can do it, especially on console because there's no reason your team should ever step behind if you think, man, I can play Drogos. We should have a Drogos.
So
at this point, I'm assuming SJP, if he needed to, he could whip out a Drogos anytime, but this kind of composition is going to be a lot of hit scan, a lot of burn down. I'm wondering if it's going to be detrimental trying to deal with this Ganessa in the process.
There it is. Firebomb goes out, forcing Inara off the objective for the time being. She's A-okay, though. Plenty of HP to spare. She's getting good healing as well. SJP flirting with the idea of going up this ramp, but elects to stay under the bleachers, so to speak, for how this call-out goes. And a quick 2-tap from Peacekeeper. Galaxy finds a frag as well. Just like that, Elevate are on the back foot.
Looking to try and get some aggression. Actually going to be able to get the burn down. Kyle Conrad finds a little bit there, but Game Over might be showing why exactly this is a map to remember. Splitstone Quarry, not somewhere you come often.
Man.
And that burn, like it almost feels like it does nothing just watching this Inara go back to full health. But there goes both of them. Vengeance as well, unfortunately falling, even with the 7x.
Let me see damage charts. I want to see where this Fernando is at this point. I mean, he's kind of held it down in this fight, and it's actually Inara who's leading, but with Fernando only about 1,500 behind. 78% on the objective. Elevate are now back in control of about 70% of the relevant map at the moment and climbing. Now they are in the lead. Mark's going to go out. Look at Inara just get shredded to pieces as soon as she pokes her head out.
And this is probably the biggest issue. Now Inara doesn't have any real presence on the point. You can see Sir James Parker immediately turns his attention over to Vengeance, trying to keep him locked down. Anybody on Game Over that tries to show their face is going to end up taking the brunt of the damage from SJP.
Galaxy just puts down the hammer on the objective, though. Slays Makoa. It doesn't matter, though. Elevate have the numbers just to keep a man on the point long enough for them to capture the payload. Shield goes up. Kyle Conrad, I gotta say, another impressive kind of rookie, in my opinion. You know, you've got Atomic, and then now you've got Kyle Conrad over here that have really, I think, done a great job in sort of their first couple of weeks, making a big impact amongst big names as well, right? You know,
We have a lot of this conversation around Alex from the PGS, now stepping up to the PPL, around Flame subbing in for G2. All those kind of guys stepping up. A lot of rookies in the fall split. It's the most important split of the year because it leads up to HRX. Grab your tickets now at IrisExpo.com.
And that's going to make a big difference a lot for these console guys as well. I mean, with the way the console wars has been going, going into it, don't really know who's going to win. Right now, Xbox NA has so far 3 of the 4 trophies, but that one EU PS4 set, that one difference maker is really all you need. And looking at the way some of these teams, some of these players has shifted around, it is making the big difference. I mean, SJP right now, this is NA PS4. He used to be the Xbox boy. He used to be big there. So being able to find a team that is not only successful, but looking like a team that could potentially be able to make that kind of swing, that kind of run at a LAN is very important.
Peacekeeper as well is having himself a couple of moments in this game. The King Bomb's going to get to the back line, accomplish its goal, and then some. He picks up the double kill, but it does cost them a rather large ultimate. If you want to put your foot down, I think that was a good time to do it for game over. Elevate get to go back to base, spend their credits and all that. But you don't want to let the payload get too much more through. You can't afford really to drop too many more kill score without pretty much giving up conversion at that point.
And that's where this area becomes awkward. How well can you defend if you can defend at all? That's going to make the bigger difference. This one bridge that you see right above you, this side room that Kyle Conrad has now entered, has a big impact as to whether or not this payload stays where it's at or if it starts inching closer. You can see Elevate have already taken over so much room, and a lot of it has been game over, not necessarily being able to fight back, but also just giving up that room, having to retreat because they recognize that it's just not going to be a favorable fight. Elevate do have a good comp for this.
Backed up into a corner here, Kyle Conrad. He's getting the healing he needs to push through. Gets the shield up as well. Look at this. 5 red members all bearing down on the conversion point. We're going into overtime, but the front line is starting to wilt for game over. And Elevate, at the end of the day, it was hard fought, much harder fought than either of those Bright Marsh rounds. It all comes to an end at 2-0.
Setting themselves ahead. That does give comeback mechanic over to game over, though. And with the way the last round went, Elevate are going to have to approach the fight a lot more just carefully overall, because otherwise that will be game over, being able to pick up a little bit. This time they do pick up kills in the first round, so it's a different story with the same results. Elevate still looking to try and close it out this time around, but will they be able to, I guess, step up in time is the biggest question.
5, 4, 3,
Last couple of seconds ticking down here. Items are about equalized. Ultimates, though, a little bit in favor of game over this time. Torvald, though, it's kind of hard to be lethal with it. You got one option, really. It's go into the fidget spinner or nowhere at all. Kyle Conrad has to eat the full duration of that stun. Here it is, the Hyper Beam. What'll it find? Nothing.
Pushes people around a little bit. Unfortunately, like you said, it's not going to be able to find any lethality up against the fidget spinner of death. But it's still a good try. That's probably one of my favorite things. It's been a long time since I've actually gotten to mention that, but that's probably my favorite reason to have Torvald on this map, is just when you do get that kill. Doesn't happen often.
Because, you know, a lot of people playing under those bleachers, if not for the Inara wall, it may have been a very different story. Sir James Parker just blindsiding Galaxy here. Shreds him to pieces before the poor guy can even unscope, turn around, and transport away.
Now just trying to find, I guess, a way in here for game over. There's not too much they can do. Elevate have a nice hold on pretty much most of the angles. Kyle Conrad is in their face, making sure they're shut down. So Elevate are going to have to play around this a little bit more carefully. And Nara's finally getting down, but time is on their side. There was just nothing game over could do in the amount of time allotted.
Ned Slark. What a name. I'm just kind of internalizing that now. That's the payload gets captured.
The turned down name from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They're like, should we go with Slark or Stark?
Oh, man. Slark's kind of a interesting word, to put it nicely. 2 minutes on the clock one way or another, though. Elevate managed to do that, honestly, with, like, very few ultimates used. When you look at it, you've got big, heavy hitters like Immortal and Ancient Rage. They never even really had to come out. But SJP has done a good job moving around the map, finding a couple of angles to work with here and there. Whoosh doing his best to push it back. Galaxy, everyone I feel like on Game Over has had their moments for. It's just
just about finding them consistently and at the right times.
And I think that's the big difference between the two, right? Elevate, I want to say, haven't had as many like pop-off moments, but it's just been consistent play from them the entire time.
Stringing it together.
As long as two of them get a couple kills between them, then that's going to be enough to get a team wipe and push forward. Whereas Game Over have been finding some phenomenal things. I mean, Ball and Berry's on a 10 streak. It just hasn't had that standout moment, that game-changing play. That's going to be a nice ult, but it's not going to be able to find too much of a kill. Peacekeeper cleans up Whoosh right there, and now maybe that's the gas pedal, but unfortunately they're taking too much damage on the side of Game Over.
You asked, and Ball and Berry delivered all that firebomb. Spicy from SJP. He knows the angle, plays it nicely, and Peacekeeper has to come out of that door directly under fire, literally, from the nice Molotov cocktail. Playing with this high ground. Firebomb bounces through. Doesn't find a lot of damage. But it's all up to Elevate at this stage of the game. And Ancient Rage looks like it is going to come out here. The Akuma Makoa skin shreds its way to the back line, but in fact, it is he that is shredded down. Whoosh. I don't think he calculated how quickly 10,000 HP was going to last him.
It goes down pretty quick when you think it's going to be the best. And I think if you think you're going to die, you won't. If you think you are going to live forever.
Wow. Twice
I
now.
guess just like me, no one was looking at the payload.
Just like this sentence. Just like that sentence. That's the second time that's happened, though, with 4 people alive. And the payload just scoop. I mean, we saw that, like, once earlier. Not in that context, but, like, Adnara died, and there was a Fernando, like, you know, 10, 15 yards away from the objective. Yeah. And he was like, haha, time to fight. And the round ends. He's like, oh, damn it. Come on, Inara. Get it together.
Where'd everyone go?
Yeah. Well,
Elevate's just chilling.
That's the way it shakes out sometimes. So, it's been a long day of console, guys. Let's go ahead and throw it over to the standings to take a look at what exactly has transpired and bring everyone back up to speed. And remember, after this, don't go anywhere. We are going to be going to our little post-game wrap-up. This is Europe for both Xbox and PS4.
I was going to say, I feel like the standings are belittling how much Paladins we've had today. But it's just because we're only in the one region.
Yes. Perfect symmetry, though. 2-0, 1-1, 1-1, 0-2 across both sides. Let's head to the North American standings. And we're seeing 2 O's for both Kirsty's Hands Onslaught as well as Oni-chaners and Elevate. Also symmetrical. Guys, we mentioned it a couple of times today. Ours Expo is fast approaching. We talked about Fall Split being the most important one of the year.
Being able to lead up to this, not only do we have the Smite content, the Paladins World Championship, which we have a lot of teams, the PGS as well as the PPL looking to try and qualify for. But of course the Console Wars, so if you're watching this, that one's probably the most interesting. And actually, I will say from past HRX, it was the one that felt the most energetic, except for the one semifinal coming down from the PWC. So a lot of people who just
honestly,
love watching
man,
Console.
Consistency. Console has always put on a great show. They've always been a lot of fun to watch at these big live LAN events. Probably because it's a lot of their first times, I think, on that big stage. Yeah. And they just love it. They live it up. The Console guys are a lot of fun, both for Smite and for Paladins. A lot of personality there, guys. Like we mentioned, one last time, if you stuck with us this long, just a little bit longer, we're going to go ahead, throw it over to our show we call Gather Round, where we just basically wrap up the day, touch on a little bit of the high points for you guys. If you're just now tuning in, this would be a great way for you to catch up on what you may have missed. Thank you guys for so much for riding along with us. My name is Pretty Hair. That's Goremizer. That's going to do it for the gameplay side of today's Console League. And we're going to go ahead and throw it over to Gather Round.
Gather around.
I'm so happy that turned out.
Is that the world
way
premiere of that intro?
That's the first time. I mean, that's the first time I've actually seen it in its completion.
Yeah, same.
Fantastic.
Hi, it's me.
Oh, they know. They know who you are.
Well, now I don't have to introduce us. We got like the video.
Oh, wait, where was the caress and spank?
I don't
We
have my
worked
jacket
hard
right
on
here.
that. We worked pretty hard on that
That
spank.
was like 10 takes
It really was.
of caressing and spanking.
It progressed. Originally, it was just the caress, and then it was like, well, maybe like play with it a little. And like, it was the direction that really made the big difference.
yeah, it was a lot of direction.
But this is Gather Round. I guess now with an official intro. I'm happy because we get to see that 5 times a week.
What a day, gentlemen.
Yes.
What
long
a
one.
day. I think we were all surprised to do that much console, to be honest. And it was nice to see them after taking a week off. I think it was owed for sure.
Oh yeah.
But you know, it was interesting. It was interesting. I think the biggest thing for me was the Koga missing, and what that opened up as far as everyone else being available.
Well, it wasn't quite permabanned, but I think it came through in the way that we overall expected, right?
Yeah.
The Master of Arms. We got the legal sneak preview of the trailer of what Koga would look like in the console league, and he just continued, I think, to live up to that standard.
I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to progress because today was all console, so it kind of makes sense if like
Yeah.
everyone's going to ban it, it's going to stay
I
banned.
think he's gonna. I don't know.
But if
man.
he's going to start slipping through in some of the other regions, if some regions are just
What's
going to
another
ignore him
instance
completely.
of a champion being banned like that and then coming through and not being so bad?
I kind of want to say Furia.
She was
at
close.
first.
Yeah, she wasn't banned out too often though.
I mean, you just have to go back to these releases. I mean, what was the? I mean,
'Cause she was
unfortunately,
available for play for the first time at that Summerland event.
right.
She wasn't used during qualifying, and she just came through, banned a couple of times, and she squeaked through, and people were, you know, it was manageable, I suppose.
I think Koga will be manageable, but I think this is where a coach actually starts to make the biggest impact for a team, because what you realize is there is a dynamic shifting. You're at the beginning of the shift, whereas if Koga takes a ban, that's taking away something that's been staple for a very long time,
Yeah.
which is Makoa. And if Makoa is available every single game, which I don't anticipate will translate to PC, but if it does, you're in a Wild Wild West world. I mean, that means you're probably letting Khan through every game too. And what does that mean about Torvald? Is he worth it? And what does that mean about Tyra as well? Because if you have Khan and Tyra and potentially Genos, what kind of compositions are really free? I think this is where we saw like Leon really jump up in value because Cassie was always banned. You could always guarantee on Shaolin getting picked. And then it was like Leon's available, right? She's available all the time. Not maybe your first pick, but she's always something you can pick. And we saw a lot of people who just ended up taking over games with it.
I was really, I guess, like surprised to see it come through, especially when it did come through because it was Onslaught, right? That was able to finally get that one. And that was one of the teams that we didn't get to see a couple weeks ago. We didn't have any of the Xbox games.
Yeah.
So finally getting to see them come through, I mean, they're still looking pretty much just as good as they were the last time.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think if Koga is still as banned, you know, sometimes like PC, that Drogos, that Cassie gets banned out. I think he fills in there. I don't know how many front lines are making it through. I hope he makes it through, right?
Yeah.
I'm cool with Khan and Makoa staying banned. I just want to see a little bit more from him because I think
Yeah.
there's a lot there. And I think that's how that type of stuff gets discovered.
Right.
Is by him getting played.
Absolutely, and you know what we're seeing here as far as console, we're seeing some bullying, and especially with Wonderful today on the Soul Collector series, that was wild. But I think PC, you'll see a little bit more of the bullying. Some of these veteran guys who have just been in the scene forever, you know, I can't imagine teams just giving Theo Makoa over and over and over again, getting punished, and then being like, yeah, let's still ban Koga. Like, we're losing every game, Makoa's killing us, but just, yeah, Koga, you know.
I'm actually surprised that this set kind of went the way it did, just because Onslaught, in my eyes, is incredibly strong. They are a very phenomenal team. They always end up making a LAN. They're the LAN champions. But I thought the Baldy bunch, especially with some of the names they were touting, were going to have much more of a fight behind them. It just felt like Onslaught, I mean, did kind of what they used to do when it was a series, where they just shrug everyone off and say, no, we're winning this.
Yeah.
Onslaught have that nature about them where they kind of make people play to them. And that's where Onslaught is always going to stay as far as my book. Just more of a champion type team that you have to take down versus contenders who are looking to make their name. And I think that's how they should have approached this matchup. It's how they did. It was interesting to see SoldierBot come back to a team and find his way after getting kicked from the Springland and needing to get onto a roster, was not at the Summerland. So it's good to see him back competing. And I wonder if this team will go far. I know they have potential. I really like some of the combinations, but there's still need a little bit more for me to see that pizzazz heading into the console finals.
Speaking of the last couple of LANs, Flashpoint, got to have another return. And I feel like it's nice to check in on some of these teams, especially the ones that have had their champions, which is why I think these two were kind of singled out.
Yeah.
Just because they've found success in the past, and the question is how likely, I guess, is that success to continue repeating itself. And Flashpoint right now seem, again, kind of in the same slate as Onslaught, where things are still running smooth.
How do you feel about their rookie that has sort of filled in?
Harvey?
Yeah.
I mean, Harvey's been in for a bit. I remember Harvey a lot on Genos earlier on when we were playing. He's been a guy in EU on PS4 for quite some time and competing with them. I like the way he's fit in the frontline role, though. And I think if he can keep doing that for this team, that's what they need. They're replacing Swiper, but in many ways, Legacy added a dynamic to that team that we already saw was successful. So if Harvey can just kind of stay his lane, this is going to be a contender yet again, like they have been nearly every single console LAN.
I feel like he was, I guess, a breath of fresh air with the way things have been going. It's one of those names that, again, like I hadn't fully committed it to memory. Everyone else had kind of come through. And I was like, I remember seeing you, Harvey, but I can't remember what you had to offer. And I was thinking of tons of different Batman jokes that I could try to make, but I was just like, I'm going to leave that where it is and let him just speak for himself.
Good
Yeah.
call.
But
Hasn't been a great year for Harvey's in the news, to be honest, but hopefully this is
the turnaround for Harvey.
the turnaround for Harvey's.
That's the first step in,
Yeah.
in one
Was
of
there a
many.
hurricane named Harvey? Is that this year?
There might have been. Was it called
There's
Harvey?
definitely been a Hurricane Harvey. I don't know if
There was a
I don't
hurricane
know.
of-
There's one right now. I don't know what it's called.
Sexual assault allegations on Harvey Weinstein, which was not.
You hate to see it.
You hate to see it.
The one
Yeah,
now
I
is
hate to see
Florence, isn't it? That's the hurricane that's coming through? I think it is.
Yeah, Tyler says yes.
I think it is.
Hurricane
What
report.
a terrible.
You want to
name.
do the hurricane
Can I get
report
a
part of the
weatherman
show?
segment?
Yeah. Do you want to
Get a
go over
weatherman
there?
segment?
Do you want to have the
We have
screen?
that sick weatherman.
I mean, you
TV
could
that
do it.
everybody uses,
You could do it. I
All right,
wouldn't.
guys, come
I,
on.
You could pretty much say anything, and I would probably accept it as truth as far as the weather upcoming.
I'm just.
Like you
I'm
could be
weathering
lying
the
about that.
realm.
He could be lying about this hurricane. I have no idea.
Will it finally rain in Brightmarsh? News at 11.
News at 11.
Live with
More
Nick
at 11.
Keogh. But
I will not
globe.
be here at 11.
Yeah.
you sure you don't
Good
want
luck.
to? You don't want to stay here the rest of the day?
No, I'm batting down the hatches.
Batten down the hatches on this one. Well, a couple of other things. We have two more, I think, to really hit, and I don't know which one's the best way to approach it, but I guess the best one is it says the note is exactly "New Boy killing it." It was Atomic.
Oh,
from
yeah,
what we were
Atomic.
talking about, and it was someone who we had seen
Atomic
a couple
Boom?
weeks ago.
No.
Not
Atomic,
Boom.
it's
Atomic AMK. I
Yeah, it's
believe.
like some tag
And
at the end.
he
Frontline.
was ridiculous.
No,
he played
Bomb
Bomb King.
King.
Oh, that's
Drogos.
right. That's right. That's
And
right.
he played Drogos, and it was one of those things that he was the player. It kind of seemed like the glue that held the team together. Everyone else didn't seem like they were doing too hot.
Yeah, man.
And he had a couple of, I want to say, like mistakes that you could see, but his decision making was phenomenal.
They go down 0-2 in that game, and he's like 0-9, or he's 9-0 at that point. And then in this game, everyone's negative, and then he's like in vocal status, just
Wow.
like 25-6 or something on Drogo. So it's like, even while losing, this guy just finds a way. This is a really smart draft. So he's making these. He's like, no, that guy's dead. I'm going to turn around. Kill. So
Smart.
he's making really good calls.
Wow.
At the same time, I've never seen his name before prior to the console league. I saw him in week 1, and he was killing it. And he's still maintaining that momentum on a team
Wow.
with no really, I don't know, big names on it. So I'm definitely all eyes on this guy going forward.
And that's kind of the big question, especially as the split goes on for me. Is, you know, you're looking at these players that are going to be making their debut, and whether it's going to be a one trick, you know, we've seen a lot of people who have like had phenomenal like Vivian games, but then not been able to kind of bring anything else in.
Phenomenal Vivian.
But like, you know,
Unreal Victor.
you hit HRX, and all of a sudden it becomes, well, you know what, like doesn't matter what the console league's doing next split. I'm looking for a team.
Yeah.
And these people either dropping out, retiring, or looking for someone new
Absolutely.
to kind of make that role. Those are the guys to keep your eye on.
That's exactly what my point was going to be. If somebody has a lights out performance like this, that just means it's trade fodder. That means it's that Elven Pass shuffle we were talking about. He's right up front with the electric slide in terms of getting into a good team. Sometimes it's one piece that determines a perennial champion in a series like this, in a season like this. I mean, what was it? I mean, Na'Vi look even better with Lazy. Sometimes it's that one switch that just pushes you over the edge, and it's like, man, nobody can catch these guys.
I'm curious to see, I guess, like how the console goes on. So I guess just for today, final thoughts. I mean, it's been a long day. I can't remember every single game that went through, but is there anything
funny.
that kind of like stood out? Because it's all blending together.
It's kind of funny how that works, right? I mean, it's like we remember the last set, maybe the first set, but everything else in between is just the jumble.
Yeah. Well, it's still new. You know, you've got your Elevates, you've got your Onslaughts, your Flashpoints, your Vexed, who were at one time, you know, brand new as Atomic's name to us, right? So it's like over time, you know, we'll grow to become familiar with, I think, a lot of these guys. It's still new. I mean, it's literally the first time we're seeing any of the Xbox games. Only the second time we're seeing a majority of those PS4 teams. So I think there's a lot of really, really impressive rookie performances from today, and a lot of good seeds that could really blossom into some awesome console players.
Well, hey, it sounds like you guys are just excited for the weeks to come out of the console league. I think because of the change in the format, now that it's 4 teams per region and as well as console, we're seeing the competition get a lot stiffer. It's not just going to be the same 4 teams. I think that we always see. It's not going to be the same as this console series where weeks 2 and 3 just feel like they don't matter anymore because you already know who's going to be winning in week 4. So I'm excited to see how these keep going. Of course, we saw the standings right before we came here. A lot of these teams are either rising to the top, but they still have their competition. But I mean, that's it for this week. As of right now, I think we can go relax, take a little bit of a break, give production a break since we've all been going pretty much live since.
There's still work to do, Gore. There's still things to be done.
Yeah, there always is.
Tis the life of a caster in Paladins.
But not here.
But not here. Not on this table.
Not here, not now. And probably not live. I think we can take a little bit of a break. But that's going to be it for Gather Round. As always, you can tune in tomorrow morning. We'll be coming again live around 11 a.m. for the Global Series. But until then, we'll just have to see you next time.